Okay, some of you may first have heard of me back in 2017 when I was on the Joe Rogan podcast episode. I believe it was 1050. I remember it was December 7th, which is Pearl Harbor Day, of course, a day that will live in infamy. But anyways, at Pearl Harbor Day back in 2017, Joe had asked me to come on the podcast to talk about this crazy all-meat diet I'd been eating. I've been doing it for about a year up to that point. I'd been on Twitter and kind of, getting a little bit of a following, and it was kind of thought it crazy. And I remember sitting down with Joe, and he's a super nice guy, by the way, but he was interviewing me. And I could tell he's like, what is this crazy son of a bitch talking about? I could just see that going on in the back of your mind. You can sometimes tell that when you describe that. Like most people, the first time they hear about it, that sounds really crazy, right? As most people that go on a Joe Rogan podcast, there's a lot of exposure. I really didn't even expect it or know. I really didn't know that much. I really wasn't a Joe Rogan podcast viewer to any degree. But recently, when he talked about it, it took him probably 2 years before he actually tried it himself. And this is back, I think, somewhere around 2019 or 2020. He said he went on it for a month.
I did the carnivore diet for all of January. I lost 12 pounds. I had a belly. A lot of people made fun of me, fat shamed me. I lost all my fat.
And the results he had were quite good. He lost a bunch of body fat. He leaned out. He said he felt wonderful. Initially, he had some trouble with diarrhea, but that settled down, and he had just very, very good results. And he's been on and off it over the years several times. He still interacts with me a little bit on social media. Hopefully, one day we'll get back on there and kind of give an update of all the things we've known about the carnivore diet at this point.
I switched back to the carnivore diet. I lost 5 pounds in 2 weeks, and not anything but fat.
Initially, he said he lost 5 pounds in 2 weeks and it was all body fat, no muscle at all. There's a 2020 paper in the Frontiers of Cardiovascular Medicine that finds that visceral fat content contributes to various features of metabolic syndromes. And so when you lose all that stuff, it's helpful in many, many regards, just outside of the weight loss itself. Now, he basically says that mostly he eats a lot of meat. Sometimes he'll add some fruits and vegetables in there. And then, occasionally you have the cheat meal or the blow up. I can imagine with his lifestyle always being on the go, out all the time, being out at night, it's going to be challenging not to at least occasionally deviate from that. But generally, he puts down a lot of meat. And I think a lot of people that do carnivore eventually come to the realization that meat is not a problem. It's actually a health food. The more of it you eat, the better you tend to do. At least that's the case for most people.
The best I ever felt, like literally the best I ever felt all throughout the day was when I was on the carnivore diet. Let me go back to that. Let me see what that's like.
He said, 7 or 8 days he ate nothing but meat, eggs, some fat, some bacon, and nothing else. And he said, basically said, hey, my brain is working better than it's ever, basically. And this is also another common benefit from the carnivore that a lot of people notice: improved mental clarity, better cognition, better mood. There was a study in the 2018 study in the Frontiers of Aging suggesting that ketogenic diets, which could be what's going on here, could be optimal for enhancing large-scale network function, is critical for higher cognition. If you're eating a higher fat diet on a carnivore diet, you're certainly or almost certainly going to be in more of a ketogenic type of state.
It was weird. Like I wasn't searching for, it was like I had more access to my ability to form sentences, I was thinking clearer. It was more effortless to have conversations. And I was like, this is interesting.
A 2022 paper in the Journal of Psychiatry and Brain Science found that ketogenic diets improve mitochondrial metabolism, neurotransmitter function, oxidative stress, inflammation, while also increasing neural network stability and cognitive function.
This is not how I normally feel. This is like me at my optimum, but I'm able to sustain this multiple days in a row.
Well, that's really a great sign of a healthier brain, which benefits from ketones instead of mostly using glucose, which is a less stable supply. It's got more fluctuations.
So your body is less inflammation. You have less inflammation, and you're operating off of ketones, essentially, for the most part.
That's his conclusion there. There's a 2010 study in the Journal of Applied Physiology that says we conclude that inflammation induced by high-force eccentric exercise in skeletal muscle is greater when a high-carbohydrate versus a low-carbohydrate diet is consumed during the recovery. That is to say, you have less inflammation when you're eating less carbs in the recovery phase. So cutting out the carbohydrates after exercise reduces inflammation, at least in that particular study. And so one could argue that we're optimized for meat and fat and less so for carbohydrates, although for some people they may have some advantages, in particular around athletics, although there tends to be a trade-off there. It's good to see Joe back on there doing it again. He's probably been one of the largest influences in the world. He is arguably one of the largest influences in all of media. throughout the world. There are countless doctors that are now adopting this. There's countless thousands and thousands of patients that have adopted this. Athletes are taking this on, and we're seeing, by and large, very good results. So I think this train is not slowing down, guys. I'm excited about the future for this, and look forward to it. Look forward to more. So anyway, you guys let me know what you think. Have you tried a carnivore diet, and if so, how did it impact you? How did it impact you mentally? How did it impact you physically? Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit all the, do all that stuff you're supposed to do, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye now.